This is about Civil War embalming. If you died about 200 years ago in America, your family would wash you and dress you, place your body in a bed, surround it by candles and flowers to dampen the smell of decomposing. Your immediate family and friends would visit your house, and over the course of the next week, few needing to travel very far because most families they live close by each other, and they were paying their respects at your bedside. Before the body's putrefaction advanced too far, the local carpenter would make a simple pine casket, and everyone would gather at the cemetery or your own backyard if you were a landowner for a few words before burying you in a grave. There was no need for any type of preservation. Wars are often responsible for medical and scientific advances, and the Civil War drove the need for a new science, an improved way to handle the dead. So many men died, and so many were so far from home, there was a growing need for a way to preserve a body for a decent burial once the body arrived home. Families wanted to see their fallen sons once more, and the railroads added to that urgency by refusing to carry decaying bodies due to the smell. During the beginning of the war, most bodies were left where they fell, decomposing in fields and in trenches all over the South, or rolled into mass graves and buried. Some wealthy northern families were willing to pay to have the bodies of their deceased soldiers returned to them. But before the invention of refrigeration, this often became a mess, as the heat and the humidity would cause the body to decompose in a matter of just a couple of days. In the mid-19th century, the French developed a method of arterial embalming, and an American, Dr. Thomas Holmes, which lived from 1817 to 1900, he trained and worked as a coroner's physician in New York in the 1850s. He began experimenting with embalming methods used by the French. The first military fatality of the war was Colonel Elmer Ephraim Ellsworth. Dr. Holmes had found out that Colonel Ellsworth had worked for President Lincoln and was a longtime friend also. Dr. Holmes had visited President Lincoln and offered to embalm the body of Lincoln's friend at no charge. As a result of this successful effort to preserve the body, Dr. Holmes was given a commission from the Army Medical Corps to embalm the corpses of dead Union officers in order that they might be sent home for burial. During the early part of the war, it was the medical surgeons that performed the embalming procedure. However, there were also a large number of civilian surgeons that took up embalming. Several military surgeons resigned their commission and became civilian embalmers. They realized the payment benefits to the profession and saw this as a way to increase their fortunes. Embalmers started popping up all over Washington and started approaching soldiers so that they could prepay for their service in the case that they were killed during battle. The typical private was charged $30 to $40 and an officer was charged $100. Many times the embalmers would go out after a battle and look for the officers that was killed. They'd bring them back and embalm them first because they would pay more. It was hard to identify most bodies since the opposing side would often take the clothes, the valuables, and anything identifying the person. It was said that even Dr. Holmes would go out and find some of these unidentified bodies and embalm them, dress them in nice clothes, and then prop them up in his store windows to show off the work of an embalmed body. It is written that Dr. Holmes had embalmed as many as 4,000 bodies himself. Dr. Holmes had also created a fluid that he used for embalming and sold it to other physicians for $3 a gallon. At the time, the chemicals were a mixture of arsenic, zinc, mercuric chlorides, creosote, turpentine, and alcohol. Formaldehyde was not discovered until after the war. Results improved over the years, but not on a grand scale. These were mostly field embalmings, performed by non-professionals in a makeshift tent set up next to the battlefield. It was easy to get a license then. A supplier would give a license to anyone that bought chemicals from them. But results were unpredictable, with issues involving circulation, length of preservation, and overall consistency. It is estimated that of the 600,000 that died in the war, only about 40,000 were embalmed. It was rare to find anyone from the South that was embalming due to the lack of knowledge and the lack of resources. This is not the way there. This is not to say that there are many, not have been occasional, Confederate soldier or officer embalmed by a Northern embalmer and sent home, but it was by no means a common occurrence. The strangest thing that I found that was, even though Dr. Holmes is creative with developing what is known as embalming as we know it today, and is referred to as the father of embalming, that when he died, he left a request that he would not be embalmed. Thank you.